Howdy, howdy, and welcome back. We are in the middle of another Workshop Wednesday, actually just about to start. We are actually doing a Getting Started edition this week. So this is for those of you who are beginners, and we're going to talk about how to actually set up goals in GA4. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Before that, of course, if this is your first Workshop Wednesday, welcome. My name is Chris Mercer. I'm the co-founder of measurementmarketing.io. And whether you found us through our podcast and talks, maybe through some of the platforms we share a tiny bit of our content with, maybe you're already a member over at measurementmarketing.io. And keep in mind, we do have free level memberships as well. We are happy that you're here. It's our job to help people like you learn how to use all these tools. And that means getting familiar with how things are different with the different tools, specifically Google Analytics, because in this case, Universal had this thing called goals. GA4 doesn't. Google Analytics 4 doesn't have goals, but it kind of has goals. So you're going to see all of that today. Of course, we do have our flagship training program, the Measurement Marketing Academy. We have free memberships available for that at a free level, as well as various paid levels, depending upon what makes the most sense for you. All right, let's go ahead and get officially underway. Getting started, setting up goals in Google Analytics 4. All right, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We always start with the framework, and this is because measurement must be put into context. You don't just set up the tool without thinking about how it goes into your whole framework when it comes to how you're using measurement in your organization. We're always marketing in the blind. We want to get to the point where we're just using a system that reliably produces the revenue and profits that we so richly are desiring, right? So how do we do that? First, we plan. But how do we plan? We make sure we're asking questions, results and how questions. We then gather the information needed to get answers to those questions, and we thoroughly think through what actions we're going to take based upon the answers we get. Then we go into build, and this is how today's workshop is really going to help out, because the build is the results. We talk about ACE results. So you measure for awareness, you measure for completion when they complete the customer journey. So when they're aware of the journey, when they complete the journey, and then as they engage along the way. So A is for awareness, C is for when they complete, and E is the different engagement steps. These are what used to be called in Universal Analytics your goals. And now in GA4, conversion events. So we're going to show you how to set those up. So when you hear ACE, that's what it's referencing. It's this part of the build that you're really going to focus on today. Then, of course, you make sure everything's UTM'd properly and structured properly so that we can tie traffic to results. And we make sure to use our tools in a way where there's a natural story as to which traffic is causing which results. And in today's lesson, you're actually going to see a little bit about that story, kind of the setup. So Julie, our instructor, is about to show you how to do that. Finally, once you've got your measurement in place, you start to listen to the conversation that's happening between the website and your users. Based on that, you're going to have your benchmarks. You can then start to forecast those trends and patterns. And now you know how your website is supposed to be working. So you measure against your forecast. That's what tells you what to optimize. And now you know where to focus your resources, because you're going to see what's working and what's not. And be pretty clear as to what actions you're going to take, because you planned that out in the very beginning. So that is the measurement marketing framework, and of course how today's workshop fits into that. All right, as I mentioned earlier, guest instructor Julie Brade is back, returning champion. She's been teaching stuff since 2017. She runs all of our dedicated management clients, so she's got lots of real-world experience besides just doing this stuff for measurementmarketing.io, where she's the team lead for our own internal measurement team. An absolute rock star when it comes to platforms like Data Studio. But remember, she's only good as Data Studio is. It's only as good as what GA4 is. So she's got to make sure that Google Analytics 4 is set up properly, which is why she's also obviously so good at Google Analytics 4. So with that introduction, Julie Brade, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Mercer. So let's go ahead and jump in to the Universal Analytics goal. So right now we're looking at a destination goal, which just basically means we're looking at the page URL that the user lands on. And we want to know how we're supposed to set this up inside of GA4. If we go into the admin section, clearly there are no views and there are no goals anywhere listed here. However, if you go to the configure section, there is a portion that says conversions. And real quick spoiler alert, it is insanely easy to set up conversions inside of GA4. Like comparing Universal Analytics goals to GA4 is like night and day. Like we used to get questions, several questions a week, and ask an instructor on how to troubleshoot goals, just because they wanted the logic to be really specific, and it was kind of hard, and it just wasn't something that it was very easy to do. Certain like these were really easy, but then if you get a little bit more complicated, it's harder. So we're going to walk through a couple of different ways to set up your goals. So let's go back to our events. And let's say we need to create a destination goal like this, but it's going to be conversion. So what we're going to do is create an event. Then we're going to choose create, and then we're going to name this testing underscore academy underscore aware, because if we go back over here, that's what this goal is the academy aware. And so this is the little trick. So event name, as you know, everything in GA4 has an event name. And in this case, because it's a destination goal, what you'll start out with is page view. So the event name is the page view. Then your condition will be page location, because that is the parameter inside this event that has the little portion of the URL. So we're going to say contains, and then we're going to paste that in here. So it's all we had to do. You know, if you need to check this or uncheck this, you can definitely do that, but we just leave it by default. So we're going to go ahead and say create. And there we go. We have Testing Academy Aware. And we don't have to create again because that's just going to bring us back over here. So it's already saved. We just kind of pop out like that. And so this is one that we've done before. I can just go ahead and turn it off. And then so the Test Academy Aware is actually not down here at all. My goodness, Google, you want some information from me, don't you? So we're going to just expand this a little bit more so you can see it is not here. We just did, and we're going to double check our name. Testing Academy Aware. It's not here. The reason it is not showing up under this list is because there's no data yet. Again, this one was something we've tested before, just, again, demonstrating this exact same thing for a boot camp. And so what we're going to do, like let's say we're sending a launch, like this page right here is actually a launch and it's about to get traffic at midnight. And I don't want to stay up till midnight to watch the data come through to flip the little toggle, which makes it a conversion. That's all we have to do. Remember I said it was like really, really easy? Well, this is exactly what you have to do. Just flip the little toggle and it becomes a conversion. But you can also go to conversions and then we can say new conversion event. And this is where we can say testing academy underscore aware. And there we can save. Obviously, we just double check to make sure everything is the same. And then we can come down here. Here's Test Academy Aware. This is another one that I was just setting up to practice with. And that's why we did testing. And now this one is now on the list. If it wasn't showing up before I flip the other toggle, I would just refresh the page and it would likely be here because we could see it has no data. So that's fantastic. It has no data. It's showing up here. It still will not show up into events until it has the data. So what's another way to set up your goals? So let's say you have an event goal. So remember inside our universal, you have something that's an event goal and you have this. So it could be coming from Tag Manager. So for instance, here is the universal setup of Tag Manager where we have category of lead, and that's the reason why category lead here. That's the signal we're using. And we have these triggers that are the signals that we're using to send this event information to universal. And then we do to GA4, when we're looking at a lead, it actually has a event name called generate lead. And so all you have to do is technically, you don't even need, I wish I could use my hand to cover all this up. You technically don't even need any of these parameters to make this work. You could quite literally just have event name generate underscore lead and use the exact same triggers that you have here. It would literally take you about a minute to get this set up. All you would have to do is this. We have these things going through just because we teach these things and we want to show people all the different things they can do with these other parts and pieces. But if you just want this lead, ignore all this. Like I said, you can get it done in less than 60 seconds. All you would have to do, I'm actually going to show you this real quick just because I want to make a believer out of you. If you have something here like an event that you want to send through, like let's say a lead event, you click on new, click on here, you say a GA4 event, you choose the configuration tag you want, generate underscore lead. Well, let's make sure we're spelling that correctly. And then you just add the triggers that you would come through and copy these triggers over and search for those, and then you would be done. Like literally, that's how fast it is to create these events inside GA4. Then As we mentioned, you wait for the data to come through, and then you can flip the toggle if that's what it is you're looking for. Like right here, we have this calendar event scheduled, and so that one is marked as a conversion. If we wanted to do calendar event viewed, like let's say we're doing something with Google Ads and we want this to be something else, we would just flip the toggle. That's all we would have to do. And the cool thing is it has this historical information. And remember, in Universal Analytics, you don't start calculating anything until it's set up and it's set up properly. And so the cool thing with GA4 is it's already collecting that data that you already have. You can flip these switches as often as you want. Obviously, if you're using Google Ads, they probably would tell you don't do that. But that is how you would do an event goal. And Google Tag Manager is the little bit of a secret sauce of how you can be really specific on what it is your events are doing. So for instance, our eyes on the journey, we are really specific on saying that let's scroll till we find it. Let's say GA4 IOJ. So this one, interested. We are being really specific. We say we want to know if they have scrolled on the page halfway and they're on the page for 45 seconds. Clearly, you would not be able to do that inside of anything inside of Universal Analytics with these goals unless you had some sort of signal that says, hey, here's this what happened here. And that's what we have. All of our IOJs are marked as conversions, so our Google Ads teams can use those. Speaking of Google Ads teams, and speaking of other type of goals, we're going to go ahead and discontinue that. And we're going to look at one final goal type that maybe you are really familiar with, and that is these different funnels. And so how do we accommodate for those inside of GA4? Well, guess what? There's a thing called audiences inside of GA4, and it's actually really, really cool, and it works really well inside of GA4 and also with Google Ads. And so we're going to go ahead and edit this one just so you can see, but you're able to specify exactly what it is that you're looking for, possibly users that are where, but they didn't complete, meaning they saw the page, but they didn't buy. And then you could kind of see that for your audiences. You can definitely go through and make all kind of different options here. Again, it's really meant for Google Ads. Another thing that you could do if you're wanting to do the funnel, and this is one of my new favorite things. I used to think this was kind of a really big pain, but I promise you once you kind of get playing in here a little bit more, and we just did a workshop on this in the month of July, so make sure you go ahead and check that one out. But this is also how you can view those different funnels. You can see the different steps, you can see the conversion rates, and you can see all kind of information here. If that's you're looking for how to recreate this but see it visually, you can do that within here. So that is how you migrate your goals into GA4, but it's actually not even technically goals anymore. It is technically conversions. So you'll be here that GA4 conversions. And again, it's super, super simple. You just get an event into GA4 and you can flip the toggle, whether it be a destination, meaning a URL, and that you can use the create event to do that, as you can see here. Or you can have the event come through Tag Manager or through other means like a G tag if you have some wicked dev skills. Or if you're wanting to do kind of recreate the funnel, you absolutely can use your exploration reports. Or if you're using Google Ads and need something really, really specific, you can absolutely use your audiences as well. So going to go ahead and pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you for that so much, Julie. I loved the different things you showed. I'll cover them in my one things in just a second. For those of you who obviously are familiar with Julie, if you are a Academy member, as not the free toolbox members, but marketers, Academy marketers and Academy professionals, obviously Academy for agencies and teams, you all have Ask Instructor support. You can find her back there to ask questions around this if you want, or obviously to make sure your teams are getting what they need from the instructor team. Just use the Ask an Instructor support. What was your one thing from this workshop? I know for me, if I'm just starting out and just thinking about, because I mean, let's face it, GA4 is new for everybody in the planet. Like we're all going through this at the same time. But when it comes to goals, one was realizing there are no goals. quote unquote goals, but there are conversion events. They just call them something different. So the spirit of goals is still there. That's a huge one thing. Yes, they don't call them goals, but the spirit is still there. 2, it's easy, actually, deceptively easy to create goals, because once you have the event in there, you just flip a switch, literally, you do a little toggle, and now you've got a conversion event. The third thing for me was that because GA4 takes a little while to get the event itself recorded sometimes, you can still just put the event name in there if you were creating a conversion event, as Julie showed you with the create event, and that you can do a lot of this in GA4. So you can mimic destination goals pretty easily. And then event goals, however you're getting them in there with Tag Manager or something else, just do the same thing for GA4. It is really makes I think the platform is a huge improvement when it comes to this sort of stuff. So practice. Remember, take your one thing, make it a skill, and that is how you continue to improve without getting overwhelmed. All right, think about how it fits into the framework itself. You can see what I was talking about before on ACE results. She showed you kind of how we're doing that. She actually showed you the setup a little bit with creating a conversion event from scratch with the create event feature that's in GA4, showing you Tag Manager to get events in there, and then creating audiences even, and kind of look above and beyond to show you some other stuff you can do once you have your results properly set up and measured. And remember, that's the key. If you don't have ACE results, it's going to be tough to find the same sort of story that we have like in our numbers, because we have ACE results and you may not. So always measure for awareness, for the completion of the journey, and then of course for engagement along the way. Next week's workshop, we go beyond basics. So it's a slightly bit more complicated topic. We're going to talk about setting up how to specifically set up user ID measurement in GA4. So that is where you define a user ID. You're not relying on Google Analytics to do it on its own, which it will obviously naturally do on its own, but you're going to do that. So that we're going to figure that out as we go through. Now, of course, if you want that workshop, not a big deal. All you need to do is to subscribe, and you'll automatically be notified. We're almost at 5,000. We're about like less than 100 away, I think, or give or take, right around 100 away. So thank you again for all of you who are continuing to subscribe, to share it in your different groups that you're a part of, which has been awesome. Leaving the comments and suggestions and everything else that's back there. Love those. Again, we cannot answer every single question. We try to, but we can't answer every single question because we do rely on the Ask Instructors, or the instructors, I should say, are relying on the Ask Instructor support and supporting our members there. But we definitely see them. So anything you need, if you need different topics or things like that, it always helps us to create curriculum and to create workshops, and maybe even make better workshops for you as we go through. Of course, I would be remiss without asking you to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. Remember, there's multiple ways to do that, including the Measurement Marketing Academy Toolbox. Now, that is free. Everything in there is free. It's a free level of membership. So when you go to the Academy page, you'll scroll down, you'll see next to the pricing table a way to get the free account. And it gives you access to not only the most recent Workshop Wednesday, but all of the different tools. Traffic tracking toolkit. There's a forecasting tool. There's a split test optimization pipeline tool. More than you see here. It's like 20 extra tools, 30 extra tools, probably more than you see here. So please check that out. And of course, if the time really is right, take a look at maybe becoming an Academy Marketer edition or upgrading to the Professional edition if your job really is purely measurement in your own organization. So no matter where you are, if you're just a marketer organization, we've got a level for you. If you are the measurement professional, it's all you do in your organization, we've got a level for you. And of course, we've got agencies and teams as well. You can see everything when you go to measure.tips/Get Academy. And with that, we'll go ahead and bring this one to a close. This has been Getting Started, setting up goals in GA4. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one.